Hi everyone, this is going to be a very, very special episode as I take my very first look at the new album from the maestro and my musical hero, Steve Hackett. The album is called The Circus and the Nightwhale and is due out on February the 16th. And I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to have been sent an advanced copy to review. Special thanks to my friends at Inside Out Records for that. This video will be my first impressions look at the 12 tracks that make up the album that Steve himself describes as saying the things I've been waiting to say for a very, very long time. The idea is a rites of passage story of a young character called Travla, and he is at the very heart of it all. But with Steve indicating that there is more than a passing autobiographical angle in this, his 30th solo release. It's the first new music from this most prolific of artists for over 2 years. However, he has continued to keep a near constant touring schedule in operation, finding time to record this record in between gigs during the 22-23 touring schedule. All the familiar crew are back with him, along with a couple of new faces, with Steve responsible for all guitars, mandolin, harmonica, and he even plays bass on a couple of the tracks, as well as being the prime vocalist. The exquisite Roger King handles keyboards, orchestral arrangements and programming. Jonas Reingold plays bass for 4 of the tracks. Rob Townsend contributes tenor sax, with Craig Blundell on drums for 5 of the tracks, Nick DiVirgilio playing on the opener, and Hugh Degenhardt on the track called Breakout. Brother John plays flute on Enter the Ring. Benedict Fenner contributes keyboards on Ghost Moon and the Living Love and Breakout. And finally, Malik Mansurov plays the tar on Circo Inferno. Now, assisting Steve with the backing vocals is Amanda Lehman on 5 of the tracks, whilst no Hackett album would not be complete without Nad Sylvan, who sings lead on Taking You Down. Assisting Steve with the songwriting duties, a wife Jo, who helps on 5 of the tracks, and Roger on 6 of the tracks. Apologies if I've missed anyone out on that rather extensive roll call. I know the opening track and lead single, People of the Smoke, as this was the one that led off the album. It starts the tale in post-war 1950s London, where Steve grew up in Battersea, overlooking the mighty power station, and represents the start of the journey for our hero Travla. It's all about the dirt and smog of post-war London, as the country comes to terms with starting the rebuild after this most dreadful of events. The sound of an old-fashioned radio being tuned in is just sublime, along with the Pathé News trailer. I really like that. Now, there's quite a business-like news bulletin feel to the music that delivers the ideal message that I'm sure Steve was looking for, and this is heightened by the sound of Big Ben chiming throughout. You can't get any more London than that. The vocals and harmonies in particular are rich and strong, and it's a powerful track. I will leave a link to the video for those who have not yet heard this one, but it features the trademark Hackett tapping techniques and shredding. It's a great start to the album. These Passing Clouds is a short instrumental to cleanse the palate after that opener and calms the mood. It features Steve accompanied by that same orchestral background from the opener, and he's played a more mournful melody this time around though. Taking You Down has that heavily distorted Nad Sylvan on vocals, and is a song about a school chum of Steve's, who was both a card shark and a pyromaniac, and taught him to smoke back in the day. There really is a crazy sax solo here from Rob Townsend, which is amazing. And I did hear a little of the Cell 151 from that much maligned album Highly Strung in there, and features another solo of magnitude from Steve. I really like this track. The beat is big and bold with a really heavy feel to it, and this looks like the distractions that so many an impressionable youngster faces, where a less than steady influence is introduced onto Impressionable Young Mind. Found in Lost is a short love song about first love and has a slow, sensual rhythm to it, after a lovely orchestral and acoustic opening. The echo on the vocals gives it just the right atmosphere to it. And we get to hear Steve's excellent technique on harmonica as well as his killer acoustic guitar. Is this Travla's first exposure to the fairer sex? Who knows? Enter the Ring is described by Steve as very Genesis, very slow, a lovely combination of then and now. And this one turns out to be one of the most amazing tracks. I listened to this one 6 times over to try and get a full understanding of the meaning. I think I failed. The assumption is our hero Travla, after having been shown a less than savoury lifestyle from his card-playing, fire-starting friend, chooses a path probably different to the one those around him would have wished for. This may be a reaction to Steve's family, displayed once he chose perhaps a musical career. We may never know, but he does explain that there is a license in this story for flights of fantasy. Now this could explain then why we have the circus references scattered around for the sparkle, festivities and confusion this type of environment creates in our hero's impressionable young mind. Musically, this track appears to have had the proverbial kitchen sink thrown at it. From the opening downpour of torrential rain, Steve adds 12-string to his list of instruments used, Roger adds in a harpsichord, Brother John contributes some excellent flute additions, and the vocal accompaniment of the excellent Amanda, and this becomes a monster of a track that ploughs those 70s furrows of Renaissance at their peak, or indeed the sweet sounds of Clannad, as this dreamy track flows until it explodes with a flute and then guitar solo. It's a simply gorgeous track and did warrant all those additional listens for me to get some kind of understanding for its effectiveness. Get Me Out has Travla's success in music brought into question as he realises the manipulation he's experiencing from those above and around him. He sings, "Put on your poker face, play the game, caught in the ring in a circus of pain, stuck to the wall on a spinning wheel, a marionette unable to feel." A lovely American TV cop series feel to it from the 50s and 60s as this lovely 6/8 signature meanders along. Steve says, "It's rock noir. I'm playing much too fast and angrily." There's a great cameo piece within the whole album so far. Ghost Moon and Living Love is another love song and starts with a hymn-like solemnity with Amanda's vocals appearing positively heavenly-like as she serenades so delicately. Steve said of her singing on this one, "Amanda sounds operatic on Ghost Moon, which I'd never really heard before." Steve himself cranks up the vibrato throughout to add spice to the piece, as well as a slide guitar section in there. The solo is infectious, fitting in so ideally with the theme of the song, showing off some really impressive riffs. In the bridge, there is a faint homage to Entangled here, but it's only a whiff, and it's a gorgeous track. I'm not sure exactly how this fits into the story, though. It's a minor niggle, that's all. The story does move on in the next 2 tracks, though, first with the manic Circus Inferno, and then the opportunity to escape the melee presents itself in the instrumental Breakout. In Circus Inferno, the last of the musical additions is played in the shape of Malik's tar. Steve himself is quick to point out that the instrument is a tar and not a sitar. The instrument originates from Iran and is a long-neck lute-like instrument. Steve plays bass guitar on both of these tracks, and it was more of a necessity rather than a choice as Jonas was unavailable when these tracks were recorded. It's a mad, crazy, riff-based track with singing full of Eastern emotions and emphasis. Rob and his sax are back in this one again. It seems to be a while since we've heard from him, but sadly it's a short track, and we are straight into Breakout with a beat that just screams out that Travla is trying to escape. Amanda's light, wispy vocals again create that delicate topping before Steve takes over again with a solo, and just like that it comes to a dramatic stop. All at Sea is another short track that attempts to paint a storm at sea to music. But Travla has indeed escaped and is caught in his own personal turmoil as he looks for safety. The soundscape on this one is really clever as it mixes guitars, mysterious voices and sound effects all created by Roger. I would actually like to have heard a little bit more of this track. Into the Nightwhale reveals the similarity to the story of Jonah and the whale, as Travla has become entrapped in the belly of a whale following this storm. Steve plays a really deep bass to try and replicate the vast chasm of the whale's belly. It creates a very eerie atmosphere that develops into a proper prog track with a driving beat and ascending chord changes until Steve releases a solo that indicates freedom has been achieved and Travla has been saved by love. Steve says of this track, "I wasn't all at sea and I hadn't been in the belly of a whale, but I had been through things just as challenging." And this shows that everyone goes to hardships and hopefully comes out at the other end. Now, Into the Nightwhale segues into the second track that has so far been released from the album, Wherever You Are, with the track seeing Travla achieving that freedom both physically and metaphorically. It's a track full of hope and is uplifting musically, where Steve sings, "Where the moon and stars shine in your eyes, will our hearts still beat beyond the edge of time? Echoes of laughter, the touch of your hand, waves washing over paintings in the sand." Some of the guitar work here is very reminiscent of the great Brian May from Queen. Now again, I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but it was certainly noticeable. It is, however, a very powerful track. Our tale ends with an instrumental track called White Dove that draws to a close this tale of Travla's journey through his life, the choices made, the challenges faced, and how all these ultimately are overcome. Steve plays a delicious Spanish guitar on this one, rounding off this album of many twists and turns and a wide variety of musical styles. It is said to be one of his most favourite styles of guitar. Not only has Travla been on a journey, but it feels like I've been on one as well with him. Before coming to my conclusion, I listened to the album another 3 times to enable my thoughts to become more crystallised. I'm not 100% sure that the story works entirely throughout the album, as there are some tracks where it doesn't just seem to fit in. Ghost Moon and Living Love is a beautiful track, very good indeed, but it's an example where it really doesn't seem to fit into the storyline for me. That, however, is a minor distraction, and the album is very strong and enjoyable to listen to, and I can see why many of the tracks are shorter than usual to keep the story idea moving. Steve has developed his voice extensively over the years and is now more than competent lead for his own works, even though he may choose not to sing everything in his live work. Amanda was an absolute revelation in the dynamics she added to the vocals. Known for working with Steve over many a year, as well as a highly accomplished solo performer, the mixture was an absolute winner and really enhanced the album no end. The keyboards of Roger and his orchestral and programming skills bring to life much of Steve's visions, and he is a very accomplished musician, if somewhat underrated outside of the Hackett circle. The mixture of drummers is interesting, but I do like the work Craig does with Steve Hackett, and also Stephen Wilson. He has a bright style to his work that is very engaging. Look, I really love this album very much, and it is one that I know I will like more and more as I get to play it more often. Steve is an absolute master of his trade, and this is another example of his work that will become a firm fan favourite and progressive ambassador. I give it a rating of 9.5 out of 10 for me, and it's an absolute must to add to your collection without a second thought. I will add a purchase link in the description box below for you to pre-order. I strongly urge you to place that order to enjoy as soon as it becomes released. You won't regret it. As I close, please give this video a like if it has been something that you've enjoyed, share via your social platforms for any others you think will enjoy Steve's music, and subscribe to be kept in the loop when other videos are released to the channel. This has been an absolute pleasure for me, one of the highlights of the year so far, and I will see you all next time on the Album Review channel.